ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track, and ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
Oh my God, it's the coolest thing ever. Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? Well, check this out. It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. Seriously. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome, my friends, to the post-Memorial Day edition. Yes, after Memorial Day edition of both Snerdley's Rush Hour. James Golden with you. 800-848-9222 is the number to call. I hope we might get a phone call or two, and I don't know. And we'll just leave it at that, because we've got so much stuff that we have to get to. This is, of course, the fastest hour in American media. And so we will go fast and begin with, I think, what would be, there are two conflicting themes of the day in my mind. And they're not for once, well, one is thuggery. Thuggery. If you watch social media, if you look at social media, as I do, you know, I was speaking with over the weekend with Lady Benedict, and one of the things she pointed out is that if you really do pay attention to social media, you're often way ahead now of where the mainstream media is in terms of stories. You see them first develop on social media, and it's true. Now, one of the things that has troubled me on social media, look, there is plenty of, how shall I put it like this? You see the best and the worst of American culture. You see the best of the worst of American cultures, particularly regarding issues of race. For instance, there was some big boat thing in Myrtle Beach, and I read about it in the newspaper, and the newspaper didn't give a racial aspect to it. And when I say the newspaper, I read it in the online news of some newspaper, and they talked about it being a mass shooting, had to come back. When you get to the social media, they don't pull any punches. You look at the boat, it's filled with black people. It's like, oh, and people are commenting on it, some in very unkind and unflattering ways. I just saw within minutes of the program going on an incident that took place at a school in Georgia. You have a school, the principal actually had to get into either defending himself or whatever, into it looked like a massive gang riot with a bunch of young thugs. They are black. You look at incidents that took place in New York. New York, there was an off-duty police officer that was beaten so horribly in a robbery. There are pictures of him in the local New York papers of him in a hospital with his face swollen, connected to every kind of device needed to keep him alive at this point. This is, I believe, the New York Post today, 23-year-old thug suspected of beating off-duty New York Police Department officer in caught on-camera assault is nabbed. This all was caught on security cameras from somewhere. One of the thugs suspected of savagely beating and robbing an off-duty New York police department cop in the Bronx, was busted in Virginia after fleeing there with his mommy. Yes, with his mommy. Law enforcement sources said his name is Tavion Hargrove, 23 years old. 23 years old. Already has a rap sheet with more than a dozen arrests. Was nabbed by the U.S. Marshals Regional Fugitive Task Force in North Chesterfield. The officer, off-duty officer that they beat up was 27 years old. They stole a service weapon, and this guy was picked up, and they found him hiding in a garage at a house. He had been sleeping on a mattress on the floor. He refused to come out when the law officers showed up, so they sent in a dog. He then tried to punch the dog out. That didn't end well. The picture of this guy has his face bloodied up. This guy should have never been, he was already found with a knife after he jumped subway turnstile. He skipped out on court appearances for that. This guy has an arrest record that's just ridiculous. But this is emblematic of the street life that is all too common, not just in New York. It's every single Democrat-run city where there is, quote, unquote, an underclass. And that's the term that's being used now for ghetto. The ghetto. And let me tell you something. The ghettos do not have to be synonymous, and being poor does not have to be synonymous with being overrun with criminality. But it is. And you look at these thug kids in school that are just misbehaving. They're not paying any attention to or in the least bit interested in furthering themselves with a decent education. Not at all. So school is a social occasion for them to cut up, misbehave, hang out. It is not about really taking stock of one's life, even at a young age, advancing a plan for success in life. It's about being, it's a primary course for the street life. And it's ridiculous. Now, let us turn, for instance, to more of it in Los Angeles. This is an ABC News report, cut 12, Carlos, and a local ABC, like, you know, the Channel 7 in New York is 7 whatever in L.A. And this is the report there.
Roughly 50 people vandalized property, including Metro trains, early yesterday morning. LAPD officers were lined up in riot gear, fired rubber bullets after multiple warnings to clear this area. No one was hurt, but several businesses and Metro trains were damaged. There were no arrests.
We cannot do this. We cannot do this in our city. And it has to be stopped. We have to be very aggressive about it because we will never send a signal that maybe this is acceptable behavior. It is unacceptable under any and all circumstances. And those people that perpetrated this have to be held accountable to the full extent of the law.
Right. Sure they do. Ladies and gentlemen, they said 50 people. That's a bunch of bull stuff. There were over 1,000 people out there. It was organized online, and I bet the people that organized it online will never, well, I shouldn't say I bet. They're the ones that should be held to account. Businesses, it was a riot scene with about 1,000 people, and these people jumping up and down on police cars. They graffitied the police cars. The cops were there. These hoodlums, these thugs, graffitied the police cars and were taking selfies and taking pictures in front of it. And it wasn't 50. It was about 1,000. And not one single person has been arrested in Los Angeles. And yes, if you looked at the pictures, there were many, how shall we say, are people of color. Not all, because, LA's quote-unquote diverse. All right, so now we went from the East Coast to the left coast. Let's come back to the East Coast again, this time the southern East Coast. Here's another news report out of Miami, Yorami. A CBS station there, News 4, in Yorami. And here's the report. It's self-explanatory, almost. It is cut number 11, Carlos, from Yorami.
I don't care if she have her gun license, her rights, or any of that. That is way beyond the law, way beyond.
Relatives of 17-year-old Trayvon Johnson are angry. The teenager was shot and killed last night by a homeowner who police say was protecting her property.
He was not supposed to die like this. He had a future ahead of him. Trayvon had goals. He was a very funny guy. He was very big on education. He loved going to school. He loved learning.
Last night, Miami-Dade police say the D.A. Dorsey Technical College student burglarized a home south of 79th Street near I-95, just blocks away from where he lives. Detectives say the 54-year-old homeowner was alerted of the break-in by her security system. With officers already on their way, she rushed home to check things out, and police say she was armed.
She observed a subject exiting the home through the rear.
According to detectives, there was a confrontation and one shot was fired. Johnson was pronounced dead at the hospital.
Hey, what's wrong with her? She did not have to shoot him. There's no reason that she should have waited until after he walked out the yard to try to shoot him. If she called the police already, then why would she shoot him?
Relatives say they don't believe Johnson stole anything from the home, but detectives would not confirm that.
You have to understand, you have to look at it from every child's point of view that was raised in the hood. How he gonna get his money to have clothes to go to school?
While the investigation continues into whether the shooting was justified or not, detectives want to remind the public that, if possible, it's best not to take these types of situations into your own hands.
If there's any type of situation that happens or they believe there's a burglary at their home or any type of confrontation, dial 911. Have the police go out and make that confrontation. That's what we're here.
Yeah, you heard it right. You heard. You got to understand from all kind of perspective. How you got to have it from he grew up in the hood. How you supposed to have money to get your stuff? How you supposed to have money to get like your clothes for like school if you don't go out like and rob people? He deaded. There's another way. It's a simple 3-letter word. It's called a job. A lot of kids work after school so that they can have money like to buy their stuff without burglarizing people's homes and confronting the homeowner and ending up deaded. You got to understand, he loves school. And I'm not trying to, I don't know this kid. Folks, the street life in America. If we don't confront what the real street life is in America, and there is a racial component to it, in many cases, because it is glorified in the culture, in the music, the host, and has been glorified now going for decades. America will not be made completely great again until the street life is dealt with on every coast. These riots have to stop. It's the smash and grabs. It's the let's break into somebody's house. How he's supposed to have money unless he steal it? This entire mentality. Go to school and beat up your teachers and beat up your principals. James Golden, Snerdley. Keep it right here.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Faraday presenta Ojos con Alergia y Picazón contra el Jardinero. Y el ganador es Faraday Extra Fuerte. Para aliviar la picazón de los ojos por alergia, actúa más rápido y supera a Claritin y Flonase aún a las 24 horas. Faraday, adelante.
This episode is brought to you by Factor. Optimize your nutrition this year with Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal service. Factor's fresh, never-frozen meals are dietitian-approved, ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from 40 weekly options across 8 dietary preferences, like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Eat smarter at factormeals.com/listen50 and use code listen50 for 50% off, plus free shipping on your first box. Factormeals.com/listen50, code listen50. Terms and conditions apply.
Every idea starts with a problem. Warby Parker's was simple. Glasses are too expensive. So they set out to change that. By designing glasses in-house and selling directly to customers, they're able to offer prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Warby Parker glasses are made from premium materials like impact-resistant polycarbonate and custom acetate, and they start at just $95, including prescription lenses. Get glasses made from the good stuff. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you.
This episode is brought to you by Hulu, presenting Paradise. Paradise is Hulu's critically acclaimed addictive drama series, starring Sterling K. Brown, Julianne Nicholson, and James Marsden. The Daily Beast calls Paradise your next TV obsession, and the New York Times says it's exhilarating in all the right ways. Paradise is for your Emmy consideration in all categories, including Outstanding Drama Series. For more information, visit fyc.hulu.com. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Immediate instant correction. TJ asked me, how you talking with dead people, bro? She's been dead since 2002. I was thinking of Lisa, not Lisa Lopez. I'm sorry. And it's not Lisa's birthday today. It's Lisa Lopez's heavenly birthday today. So that's number one. Number two, here's Massachusetts. No, we got a Massachusetts for you. This is turning a lot longer than I thought it was. We have an update from Maryland Representatives Democrat Glenn Ivey, and here it is.
I'm the congressman that represents Tomar. I came all the way down from the United States after we contacted their ambassador, after we'd made formal requests to our ambassador to the El Salvadoran government. And we came here to visit him today, and now they're telling us we got to go all the way back to El Salvador, to San Salvador to get a permit. That's ridiculous. We ought to have a chance to come in and visit. They knew we were coming. They knew why we were coming, and they know we have the right to do this. So they need to just cut the crap, let us get in there and have a chance to see him and talk with him. We got his lawyer here. We got somebody from the unions here to talk with him. Let us in. Stop playing games. Let us have a chance to talk with him.
Apparently, he is confused as to what country he's in. He has no rights in El Salvador. His rights are whatever they tell him his rights are. We have a right. No, you don't. You're in another country, hombre. All right, we have to get to Trump and Harvard. It's big. We've got to get to what's going on. Ron DeSantis, I wonder how Princess Diana is going to react to this. Ron DeSantis said some things, and I really want to know what Princess Di thinks about it. She's a huge fan of Ron DeSantis. Huge. But a state senator in Massachusetts is now pushing for a bill that would create a government commission so that they could keep track of the number of miles that people drive. And if you drive over your allotted miles, you can't drive anymore. You'd be forced to take a bicycle or public transit where you're going because, you know, it's all about climate change.
Do I get to stop paying my car note?
I know you don't get to stop paying your car note. We're coming back, so whatever you do, please don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Grandpa's here.
Hank's always helping out, Grandpa style. Now he's treating his prostate cancer with help from Xtandi enzalutamide. Xtandi 40 milligram tablets treats men with prostate cancer that has spread to other parts of the body and responds to a medical or surgical treatment to lower testosterone. Xtandi may cause serious side effects: seizure, a brain condition called PRESS, allergic reactions, heart disease that can lead to death, falls and bone fractures, swallowing problems, or choking that can lead to death. Stop Xtandi and get medical help at once if your face, tongue, lip, or throat start swelling. Tell your doctor at once if you faint, have a seizure, quickly worsening headache, decreased alertness, confusion, vision problems, chest pain or discomfort, or shortness of breath. Xtandi can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during and 3 months after Xtandi. Common side effects include muscle and joint pain, feeling unusually tired, hot flashes, constipation, less appetite, diarrhea, high blood pressure, bleeding, falls, fractures, and headache. Talk to your doctor and visit Xtandi.com.
Hi, this is Joe from Vanta. In today's digital world, compliance regulations are changing constantly, and earning customer trust has never mattered more. Vanta helps companies get compliant fast and stay secure with the most advanced AI, automation, and continuous monitoring out there. So whether you're a startup going for your first SOC 2 or ISO 27001, or a growing enterprise managing vendor risk, Vanta makes it quick, easy, and scalable. And I'm not just saying that because I work here. Get started at Vanta.com.
PMS, pregnancy, menopause. Being a woman is a lot. Ollie supports you and yours with expert solutions for every age and life stage. They just launched 2 new products exclusively at Walmart. Period Hero combats bloat, mood swings, and more during PMS. And Balance Perimeno to support hormonal balance, mood, and metabolism during perimenopause. Grab yours at Ollie.com. Ollie! These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hi, I'm Cyndi Lauper. My scalp was covered with psoriasis, which could lead to psoriatic arthritis. But Cosentyx treats both.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis 300 milligram dose and adults with active psoriatic arthritis 150 milligram dose. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some were fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at Cosentyx.com or 1-844-COSENTYX.
Cosentyx works for me.
Ask your doctor about Cosentyx.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And here is a moment of advice from a lady, of all things.
Men can't get a word out. They're just constantly cut off by the women in my life. And so one thing I learned is when I'm speaking to a man, when you're talking to a guy on a date and he finishes saying something, I silently count to 20 in my head.
20.
I count to 20.
What happens in those 20 seconds?
Men always have more to say, and women always want to fill that space. And I've said this to friends, and they're like, well, then when do you know when they're done? And I've told them, men will tell you when they're done. They'll literally be like, yeah, that's it. And then you know it's your turn. It has transformed my life. Because there was so much I wasn't learning from men in my life because was like, like, that's how we are. And that's also not a bad thing, by the way. It's just how we are.
Okay, I mentioned Ron DeSantis. Princess Diana has a soft spot in her heart for Ron DeSantis. And he must have a soft spot in his heart for our princess, because our princess last week talked about how Congress was slow rolling the Trump agenda. And I just want to, so a week after that, here's the governor of the state of Florida. And he also had some things to say about Golden. We'll get into that tomorrow probably, or over the weekend. But anyway, Ron DeSantis, cut 4, on what is happening in Washington and what's not.
$1 billion deficit is a tax on you. It works its way through the economy. There's no free lunch, and that's what ends up happening. And it's a little frustrating. You know, Elon Musk went into this Doge effort. He was getting lampooned. I mean, like, they're firebombing his Tesla dealerships. Media smearing him relentlessly. His businesses suffered, all this stuff, because he basically said, look, we can't keep doing this, and we need to moderate and reduce the amount of money that the federal government is spending. And yet, we have a Republican Congress, and to this day, we're in the end of May, past Memorial Day, and not 1 cent in Doge cuts have been implemented by the Congress. That's one of the reasons why we need a balanced budget amendment to the U.S. Constitution. It's another reason why we need term limits for members of Congress. But I think what you've seen with how, and I kind of said this early on, that Doge and Elon were on a collision course with the swamp. And the question is, what would happen? And I don't think there's any question that Doge fought the swamp And so far, the swamp has won. And that's just unfortunate, but I don't think you can look at this any other way. So this is hardwired into how the people in Washington are borrowing and spending your money. But it has huge implications for the viability of our economy, our country, and everything going forward. And, don't tell me it can't be done. When I became governor, so if you look at, Florida's been a state for 180 years. If you look at all the debt that's been accumulated over our entire history of statehood, just since I've been governor, we've paid off 41% of it. And we're doing more every day. So that's not adding to debt, that's reducing debt. We have the lowest per capita debt of any state in the country, and if you looked at what your share as a Florida resident is for our outstanding state debt, it's about $400 a person. What is your outstanding share for the U.S. federal debt? It's like $105,000 a person and escalating. Ours is declining. You also look at Florida, we have the lowest number of state employees per capita. Don't have a big bureaucracy. We are also the second lowest in terms of spending per capita of all the 50 states.
So, quite a lot there to digest, but I just wanted to point out that Governor DeSantis agrees with Princess Diana and agrees with the sentiments that many of you have, that are just very disappointed in what's going on with the slow action that we're getting from the Congress of the United States. Despite all this big, beautiful bill business, and the Senate is already lining up to do their best to put a few knives in Donald Trump, political knives in Donald Trump's back over the big, beautiful bill, that is going to happen. There's an interesting piece today. It's in the Daily BS as well. GOP strategist predicts Democrats winning the House in 2026 could actually kill them in 2028, politically speaking. Representative Jasmine Crockett said on Sunday on the Alex Witt, is her first name Dim? No. The Alex Witt reports that if Democrats were to regain a majority in the chamber, they would go after Donald Trump again. We have that, actually. That's cut number 13, Carlos. And this is what Jasmine said.
Do you think they're next year, the House and or Senate? Do you think they're going to push for investigations into Trump's family and the whole crypto acquisitions that he is getting?
Well, Alex, I'm glad you asked.
Oh, here we go.
Listen, so long as we end up taking the House, which I fully anticipate that we will do, and we are going to work hard to obviously help our Senate colleagues as well, then as someone who serves on the Oversight Committee and hopes to lead the Oversight Committee, I can guarantee you that we will do what we are supposed to do as constitutionally sworn members of the House, which means that we will conduct oversight. That means that we will investigate. We will look at whether or not this president himself has violated the emoluments clause as it relates to, say, such things as getting a $400 million plane from the Qataris. We also will make sure that we're looking into all these business deals that they have going on. I mean, think about it this way, Alex. They were going after Hunter because he sat on a board. Think about how much money they are raking in, whether we're talking about the next golf resort that they're setting up in Qatar, or whether we're talking about them leveling Gaza, as they've talked about, and talked about how it would be great beachfront property, whether we're talking about this crypto scam, the scam that people didn't even want to walk into and show their faces. Let me tell you, there is no shortage of things for us to dig into and determine whether or not there have been not only violations of the law, but
Okay. Wow. How would you like to listen? How would you like to have to wake up to that? Never mind. Be nice, James. Anyway, the GOP strategist Alex Castellanos said if Democrats get the House back in 2026, they're damaging because guess what? Trump is ahead. He was on with Mark Halperin. And we love Mark Halperin over here. He was on with Mark Halperin. He says, political money for Democrats, big little money. He said, Trump is the leader of the Democratic Party, and he's going to be more so. There's no oxygen other than him. If Democrats win the House, it keeps Democrats in the past because they're just going to be fixated on Donald Trump, is his point. And as long as they're fixated on Donald Trump, they will never figure out what they need to do as a party to move their party forward. Now, I don't think we should be looking to give up the House under any circumstances. I think there's a big case to make. By the way, this stuff we have with Harvard is huge. There's a lot going on with this Harvard stuff. And I want to get to it today, but if I don't get to it today, it will hold for another day because there are some other things that I want to go over with you. For instance, Minnesota. Tim Walz, and this is what I mean by Democrats. Tim Walz has been out running his mouth. This representative from Minnesota, Pete Stauber, was on the program, and he confirmed some of the things we all knew about the leadership. But listen to this. In under a minute, he gives you a good grasp of what's going on in Minnesota, home of Tim Walz, that would, if Democrats had their way, be the vice president of the United States right now.
Governor Walz and the trifecta in Minnesota, the last legislative session, gave illegals free health care. It's called MinCare, free driver's license, and free college tuition. Now we're out of money. Minnesota's out of money. It was $18 billion surplus, and Walz urinated it away to a $6 billion tax increase on Minnesotans. Now it's a legislature where the Republicans, they're half and half in the House, so they have to work in a bipartisan way. Right now, Governor Walz understands we're in dire straits. He now wants to, rightfully so, kick or get rid of illegals on Medicaid in Minnesota. And his base is they're protesting him, etc. I mean, in my opinion, Governor Walz has been a really a disappointment, and that's the best I can say for Minnesota. And I will tell our listeners today that you ought to appreciate Minnesota because we took one for the team last election.
I want to come back and thank you. I want to go back before we run out of time to something I talked about earlier. And that is, I'm sorry, folks. What is happening on social media, that incident in LA where you have 1,000 of these hoodlums out in the street. You look in New York, the horrible, horrific beating of this police officer by these thugs. This thug life is everywhere. And I mentioned it in the first hour, and it has got to stop. I don't care if we have to build multi-tiered prisons that are as big as the biggest commercial warehouses that we have in America to house these thugs in and get them off the street. It has got to stop. And then Princess Diana sent me something, and I'm so glad she did it. And, of course, she has such a beautiful heart. She says it's a terribly worrisome development. She says, here's a terribly worrisome development, black fatigue. It's a term originally meant for being tired of small acts of racism as experienced primarily by African Americans. But she says now it's going viral, especially in the last few months, primarily among white people who are expressing being tired of the inner city thug culture. This is not good. And I have seen this all over the place. It's like black fatigue. And then they show you, this is exactly what I was talking about. These videos of these people in these people in stores assaulting fast food workers because they're not satisfied with their order. The gang life in schools with these people beating up. Nobody covers the incredible amount on black on white crime that happens in schools with black gangs beating up white students because it doesn't fit the narrative of what racism is. But it is going on. I can bring you video, I can bring you audio, and some of them are so vile, I don't do it, of this abject racist hatred for white people that is being spewed all over social media by black people. No one calls them out on it. And it is vile. And then you got white folks joining in. 22, just real quick, as an example.
You white mother have no shame applauding all the illegal deportations of Hispanics. Hispanics are being deported even when they are legal U.S. citizens. And you white mother are applauding this shit. This is no different from the time when schools were desegregated and you started throwing rocks at black children. You guys have no shame. You are beneath dog, all of you.
This is everywhere. It's everywhere. But this thug culture, again, we saw it in Los Angeles. You see it in videos, and you're not going to see it reported in many newspapers because a lot of American newspapers they know what this looks like, and they are not reporting it. But where you do see it, and you see it first, is all over social media, and it is coming from every single blue state, big concentration of populations inside these inner cities all over Americans. And Princess Di says this term, the development of the term black fatigue it's a worrisome development. To me, it's a realistic development. People are fed up with it. They're fed up with looking at a culture that is slowly but surely devolving and taking with it any semblance of pride, taking any semblance of fairness, taking any semblance of wanting to be a better culture. Instead, it appears to be, and that is not the full scope of black culture, but that aspect of it that is on social media, that is being portrayed for the world to see, is not being challenged by the people that should be challenging it. These so-called leaders that supposedly are the leaders of these communities. And they're not saying enough is enough. They're not saying it's time to stop it. And so when we get that audio that I played, the first audio today with this young girl saying, you're supposed to see things from our perspective. He from the hood. How he's supposed to get his money? How he's supposed to get his money if he's not stealing it from somebody? This has to be addressed in American society, folks. And it's going to be it is going to be a painful reckoning, because this is all built on the victimhood mentality and the entitlement mentality that Democrats have forced as part of the membership of their ideology. We have to deal with Harvard tomorrow. James Golden, Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Quickly, let's head to the telephones and check in with Linda in New Jersey. Good afternoon, Linda. How are you?
Hello, love. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Good. Listen, I'd like to say I know what the problem is here, because it's happened in Guyana and it happens in Harlem, and I know exactly how it goes. My husband was born and raised in Harlem. He's Chinese American. And all of his brothers and sisters, himself and all his brothers and sisters, finished college, and all of their children are high-class, rich doctors. And you know how they survived in Harlem?
You know what, hon? I'm going to have to ask you to call back tomorrow because we only have 20 seconds. So we'll have to pick this conversation up. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude. You're being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, back tomorrow. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?